Bucky, you had obviously the kind of athletic career that most people can only dream of. But then when you hung up your cleats, you started in the business world, and you've had a very successful business career as well. Tell us real quick, and I know we've gone a little bit over our time, so I've got a couple more questions for you. If you got a few more minutes, Bucky?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, cool. So tell us, because like we were talking about earlier, there are athletes and other people that have a lot of success when they're young, and then when the fans go away, when the popularity goes, when all that stuff goes away, they don't do very well. And so what do you think it was about you in particular that when all this, you went from being one of the most famous people in the country and then being a pro athlete, and then all of a sudden all that goes away? What was it about you in particular that you were able to transition from that sort of adulation and accolades into just being a dad and a husband and a businessman?
Yeah, I see a lot of players struggle with that, Brian. Yeah. I tell people you're going to eat a big old piece of humble pie.
Yeah.
Because really that life is such a fairy tale. And with the fans and the travel and the way you're treated, the money you make, all those things, the way you're treated around town, and it's all because you have a jersey.
Yeah.
And people think that lasts forever, and it doesn't. And I think you just have to take some humbleness about you, and you go to the next chapter in your life. And I think my father instilled that in me, to be able to handle that. And also the guy I went to work for 23 years ago, a guy named Charlie Milstead,
sure.
Who actually played quarterback at A&M, class of 61.
What a man. My dad remembers going to watch him play in the pros.
Yeah. And he's still with us. He's suffering from dementia pretty bad.
Struggling a little, yeah.
Parkinson's. I'm
real good friends with Lyle, so I hear about Charlie some of the time.
And Lyle's his son who I work with. We're in business together. Charlie was a great mentor for me at the time, just having gone through, he'd gone through it, of course, many years before, but he was a good sounding board for me. And you know what? He believed in me. I'll never forget, he told me, he goes, Bucky, you're used to game day being on Saturday or on Sunday. He goes, it's no different in business, except every day's game day.
Yep.
Every day's game day. And he allowed me to be me. He was patient with me. He taught me a lot about business and believed in me and gave me a chance. And I just ran with it.
Probably kicked your butt in golf every time you played too. Very good golfer. Very good golfer.
He would just wear me out. Just a good athlete, but he's one of the kindest, sweetest men, most unselfish. He's not a hypocrite.
Yeah.
I can go on and on, and just very blessed to have somebody like that when I first get into business, if you will, to be there to guide me and show me how to do it. And, but yeah, Brian, I'll tell you, it took me a few years mentally to deprogram almost. Because those bursts of adrenaline and those highs, those natural highs, nothing can compare to when you're in a locker room full of your teammates and there's 80, 90, 100,000 people out there running out on that field, fixing to play a game. You can't duplicate that euphoria, if you will, in the business world. There's many days where you get excited, but it's different, right? It's the same feeling. It's just different. And I've had a lot of teammates that have really struggled post career from football, transitioning in the business world, and sometimes it's hard to watch because it's just not easy. It's not easy, and but I think that's the reason. My father, of course, my wife is great, and then Charlie going to work for somebody like him really made it easier.
Having a mentor, and in particular, a mentor that can really empathize with your experience, no matter who you are, is exceptionally important. I'll tell you, Bucky, I'm sitting here when you're talking about this, drawing parallel. I have a lot of friends. My dad was a military grandfather, older brother. My mother was an Air Force nurse. She died when I was 10. But I have a bunch of military people, and I have a bunch of friends that were in the Marines, Army, Air Force, you name it, because I was in the Corps of Cadets. And it's very similar to the way I've heard it described when you go to combat. When you go to combat, it's like the most intense. You're a member of a team. You're so close, and the adrenaline is off the charts. And then so when some of our veterans come back, man, that's hard to readjust to, just being part of kind of normal society. And I did a podcast 2 days ago with a lady who started a veteran support group for that very reason, but very similar to what athletes go through.
Yeah, football is as probably close to you as you can get sport-wise.
Yeah.
To somebody that's in the military.
Yeah.
Now, nothing compares in the military, but we're making the comparison of the feeling, the adrenaline, the brotherhood, my comrade, my teammate, my brother. That's just a special, different environment. And when you're immersed in that environment for so long, it's hard when that's over to deprogram, if you will, and because you that's part of who you are.
Yeah.
And you've got to figure out a way to channel it differently. And you got to have people around you that believe in you and support you, and because it's humbling. I touched on it earlier. It's a humbling experience, and you're basically starting over. I'm a rookie again, right? I'm a freshman again. I'm the young guy again, going into that next phase of your life. And it's important to have people around you that can help you through that, because it's hard to do by yourself.
Well, Bucky, you've done, by any measure, a phenomenal job of that. And I would say the number one marker of that is you are obviously a great husband and you're a great father.